Welcome to Awakened Titans podcast with Lily Patrascu, mind-blowing conversations with influential business titans sharing how you can manifest abundance, love, joy, success through quantum awakening, quantum manifestation, quantum healing, quantum miracles, exponential business growth, and innovative products and services. Discover how to scale your business to 300,000 users in this amazing session with Bryan Clayton. Bryan Clayton is a CEO of GreenPal. He's a visionary and a groundbreaker. And as the mastermind behind GreenPal, an innovative online marketplace dubbed the Uber for lawn care, by Entrepreneur magazine, he's revolutionizing the way homeowners connect with local lawn care pros. Boasting over 300,000 active users, GreenPal pulses with thousands of transactions daily, a testament to Bryan's knack for understanding market needs. But here's the twist. GreenPal isn't Bryan's first rodeo. Before this digital marvel, he birthed Peachtree Inc, transforming it into one of Tennessee's landscaping giants. Under his leadership, it soared to an impressive $10 million in annual revenue, ultimately catching the eye of Lusa Holdings, which acquired it in 2013. First question for you is, what is the secret to your success?
Well, thank you for having me on, Lily. It's great to be here. I think the secret to my success would be just consistency and perseverance. I think a lot of times a superpower can just be explained by consistency, just showing up day in, day out, focusing on two or three things at a time, and just grinding on one vision is kind of how I built my first company to 8 figures, and now have built GreenPal to $30 million a year in sales. It's just not giving up and just persevering through the hard times.
Thank you. And what's your secret to becoming an awakened business titan? And how did that help you to scale GreenPal to 300,000 users?
I think for me, the one thing I've looked at business is it's the vehicle for my personal development. So if I'm not growing, if I'm not learning new things, if I'm not becoming a new person every 2 or 3 years, then I'm not throwing enough of my soul into the business. And so I think if you can tie your personal development to your business success, it can help make it fulfilling. It can help ensure the business is successful. And also it makes for a more richer, rewarding life for you, the founder. I think if you're doing everything you can to grow a company, it doesn't matter if it's a little small business or a big business, you should be unrecognizable to yourself every 2 or 3 years. That's how it's been for me 22 years. Every 2 or 3 years, I evolve into a whole new person. That's one of the fun things about it.
Thank you. How can entrepreneurs worldwide follow certain steps so they can awaken to their titanic power and so they can scale to 300,000 users as well?
Yeah, I think when I was a kid, I liked to play video games. And that's actually why I started my first business. My dad got tired of watching me play Super Mario Kart. And so I was kind of addicted to video games. And looking back, now 22 years later, business can be like a video game where you just focus on one level at a time and you don't worry about anything else other than the level you're on. And what trips up a lot of new founders is they're worried about level 9 or 10. They're worried about Bowser, to use an old Super Mario Brothers analogy. They're worried about the final boss on level 10, when in fact they're on level 1. And so, or level 2 or 3. And so if you can just focus on one level at a time, and don't worry about anything else until you get through the level that you're at, I think that can help you progress through those levels. And before you know it, 10 years goes by and you've got a business with several 100,000 customers. Like GreenPal started with just 5 people using it in the first year, but we didn't care about anything until we got that number to 100. And that was what we would think about being level 1. So focus on one level at a time. Don't worry about anything else until you get to the next level.
Thank you. So you're somehow leveraging gaming principles in order to just focus on one thing, which is your target, and not worry about all the different other levels because they're not relevant to you right now. Am I understanding that? correctly?
Exactly. And that's what happens. That's what trips up a lot of founders is they get bright, shiny object syndrome, and they're worried about things that don't matter at the level they're at. So at a certain point in the business, company culture matters, your PR strategy matters, and all of these things that might matter at level 7, but at level 1 or 2, it's a very different thing. What matters is okay, how do I build more features in the product, and how do I get more customers to use that? And that's what holds up a lot of founders is they get sidetracked by things that don't matter to their level.
Thank you. How do entrepreneurs reach their first 100 customers? Because I think that's the hardest thing in the world.
Yeah, totally. I think that's the hardest part is getting the first 100,000 a year in sales and getting the first 100 customers. And I believe that the first 100 customers or even the first 500 should be hand-to-hand combat, meaning you as the founder are hand concierging those customers into your business. You're with them every step of the way for 2 reasons. One, you need the business, but 2, you need to know how you're going to scale this thing. And you need to know what it is that you're building. And the only way to do that is to hand crank that experience. And so for us at GreenPal, now we have 300,000 people using this thing every week. But for the first 500 or 1,000 people using it, it was all phone calls to me, spreadsheets, text messages, voicemails, like the Wizard of Oz. I was behind the curtain, hand cranking everything. And then I could tell the team what were the systems we need to be building to automate all that. Had we not done that, we would have built a bunch of things that were wrong, that features that nobody cared about. And so we were able to build the right thing the first time because we were hand-to-hand combat style, building the business through the first 100, 500,000 people.
Thank you. So what's important in the first 100 people is to really understand your customers, so much so that you can build a lot of SOPs, standard operating procedures and manuals that can help you to replicate. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, exactly. And this applies to pretty much every business. Let's say you wanted to create a new coffee chain, like to compete with Starbucks. Well, you need to hand crank the first 1,000 people going through your first little coffee shop to where you understand, okay, well, this is our niche in the market. This is what we do better than our competitors. This is how we treat the customers. This is the SOP for how we greet and deal with every customer. You're hand cranking those first 100, 500,000 sales so you know how to automate and scale it down the road.
Thank you. How do you go from 100 to 1,000 customers?
Yeah, so the first 100 we got through passing out flyers all over Nashville, Tennessee, where we live. We started to realize, okay, that's not a scalable user acquisition strategy, but it'll get us our first few hundred people to try the app that we had built. And then after meeting with every single one of those people, we would always ask them, okay, well, how do you normally find a lawn care service? And they would always tell us, I'd call friends and family, and then maybe I would go to Google, and we started hearing that over and over and over again. So then we decided, well, if we could compete in Google search, that might be a way for us to get from 100 to 1,000 people. And so we began to develop an SEO strategy, an inbound traffic strategy, and started to understand that that's a lot harder than it looks. It's a lot harder than we thought it was going to be. But we kind of broke it down into little small steps and little daily routines, daily habits for creating content and measuring success in our inbound strategy. And that's how we began to develop more traffic to the website, to the app. And that's how we got from 100 to 200 and 300 and began to tweak that as we went along to make it better and better. And so as you're working through these levels of the game, it's not only about figuring out how the business serves customers, but it's about figuring out how to market and get more customers. Putting those reps in is what helps you figure out what your strategy is going to be.
I find it insane that you have 300,000 customers because, I never thought the market would be so big, but it is. So how did you think about the market is so big? Was it through searches in Google, or how did you find out that, first of all, there is a big enough market that your company would be able to serve that and manage to find a great solution for it?
Yeah, totally. So yeah, you wouldn't think it's a huge market, but it's actually like a $90 billion market in the United States. It's a big industry, and something around 40% of homeowners pay a lawn mowing service. So you can take the number of households and almost you say that half of those are a potential customer. So it's a huge market. The problem is that it's almost too big because then you're trying to boil the ocean and you're trying to go after this big market. And the trap that a lot of founders fall into is they say, well, if I can just get 1% of that, I'll be good. And they don't even get anywhere near to 1%. So starting small and building from the ground up is how we were able to capture market share in every city in the United States. And we started off with just one city at a time. So started in Nashville, which is where we're from. And we realized, okay, we don't need to launch our second city until we can make 99% of the people who use the product happy. And that took 2 years. So we spent 2 years just in Nashville. And then we launched our second market and third and fourth. And then we developed a little playbook on how to launch the app into new cities and began to launch new city every week. So starting small, getting it working at a small scale, and then replicating a repeatable framework is how it worked for us. And I think that applies to pretty much every business.
Thank you. And how did you go from 1,000 customers to 5,000 customers? Yeah,
so 1 to 5 or 1 to 10 was more about geographical expansion. So we started to figure out, okay, we have a recipe that works here. People sign up, they get free quotes, they hire a lawn care service. Around 40% of them continue to use it throughout the entire year. And so that's working. Now let's try to put this in different cities. And then we developed our geographical expansion strategy, where we started launching it in new cities. Our second city took 6 months. Third city took like another 3 months, and then we got pretty good to where we started rolling it out in a new city every week. And now we're in 300 cities in the United States, and still growing, still putting it in new towns all over America.
Thank you. Does the number kind of scare you a little bit sometimes? Like, do you ever stay up at night thinking, oh my God, I have so many customers and I have to please them all? Do you ever like stay up at night thinking about that? Or is everything under control?
For me, it's actually the opposite. It has always baffled me that it's taken us this long to get to where we're at. And you always, I know we could serve 1 million now because we have the systems in place. So it's a worse problem. It's we want it to be 500,000 million, and we want it to grow faster. And solving that just takes a never-ending set of experiments. You're always trying new things. You're always trying new ways to reach people. But if you build it right and you go through kind of like the steps, and you never get to a point where you're upsetting more people than you're making happy, then it kind of builds on itself, and the systems take care of the large numbers. So as in levels 1, 2, or 3, you're working in the business, trying to, you're being a one-armed paper hanger, and you're trying to make everybody happy. But at levels 4, 5, and 6, metaphorically speaking, you're working on the business. What are the systems that prevent upset customers? What are the systems that make customers happy? What are the systems that get new customers? And so once you start working on the business, then you're at a point where you're no longer having to put out fires every day, and you're working on making it better.
Thank you. In order to have such a tremendous number of customers, you must have like a large team as well. How hard is it to manage to have such a large team? And if you don't have a large team, is it because you have a lot of SOPs that ensure that the smaller number of team that you do have kind of handle so many customers?
Totally. So the first company I built, my first company was a landscaping business, and I built that to about 150 employees. And I built it in such a way that I had something like 30 direct reports, and it was every day was just chaos. And so when I sold that business and started GreenPal, I knew that I didn't want to build a company that big again. It just wasn't fun to run. I wanted to keep the business small and tight. So now our team is around 40 people. And actually, we're looking to contract the team, because now we are getting more out of co-pilots and AI tools where we're able to take somebody who's an elite performer and make them even better. And we're able to prune out people on the team that just aren't as good. And this goes for engineers, it goes for content creators, it goes for customer service people. And so over the last year, we've managed to go from 13 customer service people down to 3, and actually improve customer satisfaction. And so always looking for ways to use this new technology to make customers happier with less resources is what we're focused on.
Thank you. How did you go from 5,000 customers to like 100,000 customers?
Yeah, so getting that unlock and putting zeros on the end of the number was all about figuring out network effects. And so for our business, it's kind of like Facebook. Facebook wasn't any good until all your friends were using it, and that's kind of how GreenPal works. It works really good when you have a density of suppliers and consumers in one town. And we had a weird thing where we would have like a small city like Knoxville, Tennessee, would do more transactions than a big city like Seattle, Washington. And we had to figure out, okay, well, that's because of saturation of buyers and sellers. And so we don't really have one business. We have 300 businesses, and we have to put these things in a spreadsheet and track the number of customers, the number of vendors, the number of transactions that are happening, and figure out where we're lean and improve those numbers. That took a long time to fix. It took like 4 or 5 years to figure that out. But that's how we have gone from the tens of thousands to the hundreds of thousands, and continuing to make those network effects dense is how we unlock more transactions.
Thank you. How did you manage to make the matchmaking process work? What I mean by that is that a lot of apps that focus on technology may struggle to get the other side of customers that they need. So, for example, let's say in your case, you're matching lawnmower professionals with customers who need lawn mowing. And let's say in other cases, you would have, let's say, teachers matched with students and things like that. So how do you make sure that you have the right number of customers versus the right number of professionals offering the actual service, and there's a right number so that there's not too many of a certain number that makes the service impossible to actually deliver?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the first thing is you kind of have two customers. For us, we have lawn care services that pay to use the platform, and then we have consumers that get connected with them. And you have to build something that both parties love to use. It really has to be like 10 times easier for them to do business on your platform than do it the old way. And so that has been something that has taken us a long time to figure out. And a lot of times you're kind of ping-ponging back and forth, fixing some things over here, going back over here on the consumer side, fixing some things for them. And then a lot of times you overcorrect on one side or the other. Uber is a great example. Every consumer, every rider that uses Uber would love for the car to show up and just wait in the driveway for 10 minutes until I get done getting ready, and then whisk me to the airport. But that's not how it works. Like, you better darn well be ready in a couple of minutes, or else it's going to cost you more money, or they're going to leave, because the driver just can't be sitting there all day. And so that's a judgment call that they've made to make that marketplace work well. GreenPal is no different. We have a lot of rules that makes sense for buyers and sellers, and we've had to make judgment calls on one side of the transaction or the other. And so figuring out how you strike that balance and how you develop something that is 10 times easier for consumers to use, and also something that makes it just easier for professionals to make a better living on your platform. They have to be able to make more money with less headache on your service versus just doing it with pen and pad. It took us a long time to figure that out. In the early years, it was a lot of hand cranking, a lot of fixing of issues the hard manual way. And then over time, we began to build systems and workflows and features that automated those things. So it's another example of working through every level of the game, triaging around what things are the most important at what level of the game that you're on, and then constantly making it better and better for both sides.
Thank you. What elements are important for each party to obtain on the platform that you feel were essential to get them interested in, somehow hooked on your platform in a way that they feel the benefit of being on the platform as opposed to not?
Yeah, it's a great word, hooked. You want users to be hooked to your technology, because in a habit of using it, because you can't build a successful business off of people that don't stick around, and otherwise you're just going to churn them out. And we've seen a lot of that in the last 10 years of Uber for X ideas that came and went because they create an experience that hooked people. And so for us, we focused on, okay, for consumers, the biggest pain point for them was reliability. The lawn mowing service showing up on the day they wanted. When we first started, we thought it was they wanted a cheap price. But what we came to find out through talking with folks is that they want somebody to show up on the day they're supposed to. So then we went on the other side of the transaction and began to rigorously score these lawn mowing professionals and assigning them a rating for how often they show up on time. And so this gives the consumer an experience of consistency that they can't get any other way. And they don't have to like hassle the lawn guy to show up on the day he's supposed to anymore. So that hooks them in. For lawn care providers, the biggest pain point was getting paid on time. Lawn care services often run like 30, 60, 90 days accounts receivable. And so solving that painful accounts receivable problem for them is one of the things that hooks them onto the platform. Now they get paid from their customers within 24 hours and don't have to wait 3 weeks, 6 weeks for their money. So those are kind of two of the main ways we hook people, and then a lot of other ways that dovetail from that.
Thank you. How did you solve the issue of, let's say, hidden costs or extra costs that a lawnmower may need to charge because of extra work that wasn't, let's say, accounted for initially?
Yeah, it's something that comes up all the time, because when a lawn care service is giving a price, they are looking at the square footage, they're looking at the imagery, but they don't necessarily make an on-site visit. So sometimes they have to adjust their pricing, and creating kind of a modulated experience that is standardized is one way that we've been able to improve that customer experience for consumers. So if you hire somebody off of Craigslist or Facebook, they may come out and see that the grass is 4 feet tall and just drive off. Or they may come out and mow it and send you a bill for 3 times extra. Or they may come out and mow it and do like a half-done job. Well, with GreenPal, there's a set of rules for how this should go. And if that happens, the vendor needs to take a step back, submit a new price, and then that's sent to the consumer for their approval. And so that way, everybody's on the same page. The vendor knows what they're going to charge the consumer. The consumer has the ability to reject that and not go with it, or approve it if they want to get the service done. And so creating that modulated workflow kind of helps solve a lot of those problems.
Thank you. What were some metrics of consumer satisfaction that you implemented that enabled you to consistently grow the number of users on the platform?
One main one is repeat usage. And so we want to know when a consumer comes onto the platform, they get free quotes, they hire somebody and they pay them for the first visit, how often are they coming back, booking a second, third, and fourth visit? Because with lawn mowing, it's got to be done every week. And that's one of the nice things about this use case, is that it is repeatable. It is a recurring thing. You're going to need somebody every 7 days, maximum every 14 days. And so we're able to measure that, and that gives us a really good indicator of consumer happiness in terms of, are they coming back to use it over and over again? We want that number to be at least 60 to 75% of people coming back to use the same lawn service, or hiring a different one at least. And so that's the main indicator of customer happiness. And then we have a bunch of others in terms of like review ratings, like the 4 or 5 star review ratings that they're giving their pros, and then also referral rating, how often are they referring other people. But the main one is, are they coming back using the platform to get this job done?
Thank you. Was there anything in particular you managed to implement that stimulated the performance of the lawnmower professionals in a way that the customers were left more satisfied? For example, punctuality or any, reviews, anything that kind of stimulated them internally inside the platform so they can perform better and perhaps get more business?
Yeah, it took us years to get to this, but one thing that we were able to develop is a scoring mechanism for these lawn care professionals to understand, okay, these are the ones that are reliable. These are the ones that are getting booked for a second, third, fourth, fifth visit. These are the ones that are getting good star ratings. And so in the marketplace, we promote those ones. The ones that aren't getting booked again, aren't getting good ratings, and don't show up consistently, get demoted and even expelled from the platform. So as a consumer, you get to come on to GreenPal and sidestep these bad experiences that you normally would have in the marketplace, and you get to hire a reliable contractor that's proven that they're reliable through other transactions with other consumers on the platform. And that's been the main way that we've been able to close the gap on, okay, this is the experience typically when you hire somebody on Facebook or Yelp, and this is the GreenPal experience. That's 10 times better. Over time, by measuring the data and promoting the good providers and demoting the bad ones is how we managed to do that.
Thank you. Was there anything you managed to implement in terms of actually reducing the negative behavior so that you get a lot more clients on the platform? Was there anything in particular?
Yeah. So if a contractor gets, for instance, 2 1-star ratings in a 7-day period of time, they are ghosted on the platform. They don't get any more opportunities for any new customers until they work their way out of that kind of purgatory. That's one example that we're able to kind of, not everybody's perfect. Not 100% of transactions are going to go perfectly, but how do we make it as close to 100% as possible? Is to identify contractors that aren't doing a good job and quickly sideline them from the platform, so more people aren't upset by that. That's one of the main ways that we kind of police the customer experience. And then other ways are making it easier for consumers to hire a good contractor by way of giving first priority to the better ones in terms of opportunity to bid. So let's say you are ranked 49 out of 50 contractors in Atlanta. It's going to be a while before you get that opportunity to submit a price because all of the other better contractors are going to get an opportunity before you do. So ranking these contractors, understanding which ones are good, which ones aren't, has helped us grow sales and reduce the number of bad experiences.
Thank you. Were there any incentives that you used in terms of monetary incentives that you used that were leveraged in order to get people onto the platform to start with, or at a certain point in the business where you felt, okay, let me get a few more, thousands of people on this platform, because let's say if they get the first lawn mow a little bit cheaper or something. Did you use any of those kind of types of incentives to get people onto the platform?
Yeah, we've experimented with discounting and things like that, but just have not had any luck with it. For one thing, we are not the landscaping company. We're not the lawn care company. We have built a marketplace that lawn care companies pay to use that enables consumers to hire them, like ordering something on Amazon. So we're not in a position to heavily discount their services, and we really don't want to be. We did do some experiments with it early on, and what we found was we attracted the wrong consumer. We attracted the person that really was just going to cause headaches for vendors and was going to be a pain in the neck for our customer service agents. And so we quickly abandoned that. And so we just focused on, okay, we don't want to discount anything because we're not providing the service, so we don't really have an ability to discount it. And then also, we don't want to get customers through discounting. We want to get users by way of creating an experience that they can't get any other way. You sign up, you push a button, somebody comes and mows the yard, even if it's 4 feet tall, and then you just push another button and they come every week. That's something that you can't get anywhere else. And so making that better and better and better is how we focus on growth. And we never wanted to do it through discounting.
Thank you. What advice do you have for entrepreneurs worldwide who want to scale to 300,000 customers? Well,
for first thing is you have to, like I said earlier, you got to work your way through the levels and hand crank the first few hundred or thousand sales. But then you can never lose sight of the user. You can never lose sight of the customer. So there's this weird thing that happens with founders, when they reach a certain point, maybe it's $10,000 a month or $100,000 a month in sales, they then begin to delegate all of the customer support. And then this weird gap happens between the founder's kind of perception and logic and the customer's perception and logic. And it's almost like these two parties are looking at the problems from different perspectives, and they're not even speaking the same language anymore. And that's why this show, Undercover Boss, is so funny, because you see these bosses that are in the ivory tower and they come onto the front lines, and it's like a hilarious spectacle. And so So the way I deal with that is I stay paranoid about it, and I do at least 1 hour a day, sometimes 2 hours a day, of actual customer support. I'm talking with customers in-app chat, in email. I'm answering the 1-800 number, whatever it is. I don't ever want there to be a gap between the way I see what it is GreenPal does and the way consumers see what it is GreenPal does. So that's one little tactic to help you kind of stay focused on customers and focus on delivering something they want to help carry you through 10,000 to 100,000 users.
Wow, that is a totally unexpected answer to what I thought you were going to say. And really, it's so difficult to say that this episode is over, because you have so much wisdom to share that I'm sure we would all want to be here for 10 hours listening to you. And my last question is, what's your message to entrepreneurs worldwide?
Well, let's see. One message that I can kind of relay is one that's always top of mind for me is when you're in a growing business, you want to think that, okay, if I just make this hire and get this number of customers and get this amount of money in the bank or get this number of sales, that everything will be okay for a while, and that I can rest easy, and that I'll be kind of like good. And what you realize is that no, that's not the case. It's like, just because you solve those 5 problems or meet those 5 objectives, that just means you get 5 more. And that it's a never ending, like you have to be a never ending like problem solving machine when growing a business. And I think if you can embrace that, it can make it more enjoyable, and it can carry you through those hard times. So just know that when you solve these 5 things you're working on, it doesn't mean that you're done for a while. It means you now get 5 more, and that's just the way it is, and embrace it.
Wow, that is fascinating. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential business titans, providing you with the insights to awaken to your full potential, so you can get paid to be yourself, find true happiness, and manifest anything you desire.